Mr. This Is Your Life himself, Ralph Edwards.
Welcome to This Is Your Life. Coming to you from the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood. Now, I'm going to hand our book this evening, our This Is Your Life book, to someone in our audience here, and really, I'm sorry, I dropped it here. I need 3 hands there. I wanted someone to read the copy, front page on it. So long as I dropped it in your lap, I wonder if you'd be so kind as to read the front page, see whose life this is tonight. What does that say there, sir?
Dr. Laurence C. Jones.
Who's that?
There might be another one, I don't know.
It's no one but you, sir. This is true. It is you. Dr. Laurence C. Jones, known as the Little Professor of Piney Woods, Mississippi. This is your life. Well, you know, Dr. Jones, your address at the Hollywood Rotary Club was just a sort of a trick to get you out here to Hollywood. It was all a part of our plan, you see, to get you out here. But the Hollywood Rotarians are sincerely interested in you and your school in Piney Woods, and we certainly want to thank the wonderful people, especially this fine man here, Mr. Roy Nelson. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Ralph.
The president of the Hollywood Rotary here for helping us out. And they enjoyed your speech very much. From absolutely nothing against almost insurmountable odds, you've built a school that is an example to all America. Piney Woods Country Life School. But this is more than a story of a school. It's an inspiring story of a man who has devoted his life to improve the life of his fellows. This is your life, Dr. Laurence C. Jones. And as we go to our chair of honor, come on, while we go up there, here's a word from Bob Warren.
Remember, ladies, no matter how hard you work, no matter how tired you feel, there's no longer any reason to look that way, because the right color on your cheeks can make you look fresh and radiant and full of life, even when you do feel tired.
But girls, old-fashioned cake and paste rouges are certainly not your answer, for they pile up on your skin like this. Give you an obvious painted appearance. Make you look older instead of younger. But Hazel Bishop's fabulous new complexion glow is really different, for it's a creamy liquid that blends in so perfectly, so naturally with your own skin tone, that it never looks rouged. What's more, Hazel Bishop complexion glow never streaks, never blotches, never rubs off. And unlike cake and paste rouges, Hazel Bishop's complexion glow stays on not just for a few hours, but all day long.
Thank you, Joanne. Now, ladies, remember to always look your very best and your very youngest. Remember to smooth just a drop of complexion glow on your cheeks each day. You'll find it always looks natural, never looks rouged.
Thank you, Bob Warren. Now, let's begin a story of a great man, a modern Booker T. Washington. Your story, sir. This is your life, Dr. Laurence C. Jones, the Little Professor of Piney Woods, Mississippi.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child.
It's an autumn day in the year 1909. You're 25 years old. You're sitting on a pine log under a lone cedar tree in a woodland clearing about 20 miles south of Jackson, Mississippi. Is that right? What was your sum total of cash and worldly possessions on that day in 1909, Dr. Jones?
Oh, about $1.65.
Yes, and the clothes that you had on. But your mind is at grips with a more appalling darkness, the midnight of ignorance laid upon the minds of little children. Your heart aches for them because at this time there are no schools whatsoever for Negro children of this region. Is that right?
That's right.
And sorely troubled, you remember the voices of your mother and your Aunt Liza as they sang an old spiritual, Keep a Inchin' Along.
Keep a inchin' along, keep a inchin' along. Ooh.
Inchin' Along begins for you from the the time you were born, Laurence Jones. That was Missouri, wasn't it?
In Missouri, St. Joe, Missouri.
Yes, sir. What'd your father John do there?
He was a porter in the old Pacific Hotel.
You loved him so much that for a long time as a boy you thought he owned that hotel, didn't you?
Yeah, that was his hotel.
You inch your way through grammar school, shining shoes and delivering newspapers. And it's work and more of it to put yourself through high school in Marshalltown, Iowa.
By the time school started in the morning, Laurence Jones had already done a half-day's work.
That's the voice of someone you haven't seen in 50 years, Dr. Jones. She sat right in front of you in your high school study hall. Do you remember her name by any chance? You knew her as Laura Carney. She's a past president of the Mother Church, the First Church of Christ Scientists in Boston, Massachusetts. So here from Boston is Mrs. Laura Rathbun, your old school friend.
Did I ever get to see you?
I know it, isn't it grand?
Mrs. Rathbun, something happened there in high school that gave Laurence Jones a new lease on life, didn't it?
Yes, he was chosen to write our class song. Do you remember that, Laurence?
I certainly do.
And you didn't get it written, and we were all worried and thought you never would do it. And so we went to Mr. Graff, the principal, and tried to get him to sympathize with our worries. But he said, "Don't worry, Laurence will come up with it," and you did.
What effect did that have on you, Dr. Jones?
Well, it was the first time I knew anyone had confidence in me.
Well, here is that gentleman himself, your high school principal from his home in Newark, Ohio, Mr. Ellis U. Graff. Here, he is.
Mr. Graff.
Delighted to see you. How are you anyway? How's your good behavior?
Did Laurence write a good class song, Mr. Graff?
It was excellent. And when graduation came, and it was Lawrence's turn to walk across the stage and get his diploma, the audience burst into applause. He was the first Negro student to graduate from that school.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Laura Rathbun and Mr. Ellis Graff.
Keep inching along, keep inching along.
What did you say? Say it loud. What? If this doesn't beat Mrs. Rathbun, he says, I can't get over it. She's here. Voices out of your youth, all right, Laurence Jones. Keep crowding your memories as you sit lonely and alone on that log in the pine woods of Mississippi in 1909. Voices as you inch your way through hardships and hard work at the University of Iowa.
Laurence waited on table at our fraternity house. He had so many other chores that he hardly had 4 hours sleep a night.
Now, the voice of a college classmate who lived at the Delta Tau Delta fraternity where you waited on tables, can you guess who it is, sir?
Must be Lawrence Michael Burke Morrissey.
Now consulting manager of Phoenix Mutual Life Insurance Company in Davenport, Iowa. Here's your good friend, Mr. L.M.B. Morrissey. Here he is. What'd you say?
Am I looking pale?
Lawrence Jones, come over here, Dr. Jones. Lawrence was offered many jobs when he finished college, wasn't he, Mr. Morrissey?
Yes, but he passed them all up. He felt a duty to get his learnings out among his own people.
Well, thank you, Mr. L.M.B. Morrissey. Thank you very much for being a part of his life.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child.
Graduating from college in 1907, your strong sense of duty has inched your way along to the pine log under the cedar tree in Mississippi. Is it a voice or just the wind whispering in the pines that reminds you of a saying about the great educator Mark Hopkins? What was that saying, Dr. Jones?
Not only is Mark Hopkins on one end of the log, and a student on the other end is the same as a university.
It would constitute a university. And this is your mission, to teach. You decide to open school right there, under the sky. And the first morning, you have 1 pupil. And the next, there are 3 of them. In 2 weeks, there are 29.
I was one of those children. Most of the others could not read or write. And Professor Jones taught us without asking for a penny.
Now, you may or may not remember that voice, Dr. Jones. Here's a boy from the year 1909 now minister of the Second Baptist Church of Fresno, California, the Reverend William C. Dixon. Here he is. What was it like those first weeks in the Piney Woods, Reverend Dixon?
Well, when the weather was chilly, we would build a large bonfire. We'd roll our logs together around it and hear the classes. And then we would pew out the benches at recess time. And Professor Jones taught us without asking for a penny.
Yes, sir. It must have really been quite an experience, boys and girls of 15, say, coming to start school like that.
Yes, because they were unable to read or write.
And of course, in return, some of you pupils used to bring your teacher a sack of vegetables now and then, didn't you?
Oh, yes, we did when we were able to do so. And it was a saying among the people that Professor Jones ate dried peas for breakfast, drank water for lunch, and he swelled up and burst for dinner.
Thank you, Reverend William C. Dixon. Thank you.
Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Ooh.
The next need is shelter. Winter is ahead. Near the cedar tree is a ruined log cabin used for years as a shed for sheep. The cabin and the 40 acres of land around it belonged to an ex-slave, old Uncle Ed Taylor.
Uncle Ed Taylor learned how well the children were getting along, so he gave that old log cabin and the land to the school.
Now, that's the voice of your very first volunteer helper, Dr. Jones. Tell us who it is. A carpenter who had heard you teach, and he came to you as a young man without any hope of pay.
William F. Yancey.
Now a prospering
Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
building contractor in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Here's your dear friend, William Yancey. Mr. Yancey. Say those loud. I don't want to miss anything.
I want to know, was I turning pale?
Oh. Mr. Yancey, you and Laurence Jones put a floor and a chimney in that cabin and divided it into 2 rooms, didn't you?
Yes, we did. We fixed the little room so that we could live in it, and the large room was our first schoolhouse. Then the boys helped us to cut down trees so that we could plant a crop so that we could eat.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Yancey. Thank you, sir. Your joy over the little cabin soon turns to anxiety. More and more children come, and many must sit outside, shivering with cold, waiting their turn for classes. Now, how you met this crisis, we'll find out in a moment. Right now, here is lovely Virginia Steffen.
Thank you, Ralph. You know, girls, what with parties, Christmas shopping, gifts to be wrapped, we're pretty lucky. Because today, no matter how tired we feel, there is no longer any reason to look that way. That's because the magic of Hazel Bishop Complexion Glow instantly makes us look fresh and youthful, no matter how tired we feel.
Now, mind you, Virginia is not talking about old-fashioned cake and paste rouge. No, ma'am, because all rouges pile up on the surface of the skin like this, give you an obvious painted appearance, make you seem older instead of younger.
But girls, Hazel Bishop's fabulous new Complexion Glow is really different. You just smooth a drop on your cheek like this. And Hazel Bishop Complexion Glow blends in so perfectly, so naturally, it never looks rouged. What's more, Hazel Bishop Complexion Glow never streaks, never blotches, never rubs off.
That's Hazel Bishop Complexion Glow. Get it at your favorite cosmetic counter tonight or tomorrow, sure.
Back to This Is Your Life, Dr. Laurence C. Jones, the little professor of Piney Woods, Mississippi.
I've been toiling at the hill so long.
Here in the winter months of 1909, 1910, 40 children are overflowing your tiny cabin school. You summon up courage to appeal to members of the rural community. At large mass meetings you do this. Now, here are two of the earliest friends you made in the Piney Woods. Today, they are proud to be on the Board of Trustees of your school. From Jackson, Mississippi, Mr. and Mrs. W.F. Mahaffey. And here they are. What did Professor Jones say at that mass meeting, Ms. Mahaffey?
Oh, his words were quite simple, but most touching. You remember you told us that the children did not have clothes warm enough to sit out in the cold and wait their turn for classes.
Many of you give donations that day, but the big thrill is when the mill owner, John Webster, speaks up. And what did he say, Mr. Mahaffey?
He said Laurence Jones had the most gumption and determination of any man he ever saw. He says, Laurence, I'm going to give you 10,000 feet of lumber to build that first schoolhouse right here in our community. And as you need credit, I'll see that it's extended to you.
Well, thank you, Mr. and Ms. Mahaffey, for telling us about that great day.
Want to hold out to the end.
You, the students and their parents, put up that first building yourselves. It's just completed when one of those Gulf storms blows in. And what happened to the building, Dr. Joe?
Blew it down.
Yes, sir. But you repair it and keep an inch and along. And you never turn any students away from your doors.
Some of us came with a sack of sweet potatoes, some with a couple of geese, some of us empty-handed. But the little professor gave book learning free to all.
The voice of a girl from your second graduating class who went on to build 3 rural schools by her own efforts. Now she's back teaching on your own campus. Here from Piney Woods to surprise you is Miss Georgie L. Myers. Miss Myers.
I certainly am.
Well, you saw the school grow, Miss Myers. Tell us why the students love it so.
We built that school with our own hand, Mr. Edwards, and that is why we love every board and every brick put into it.
Yes, I know. From the first small donations, $20 is used to buy a donkey broken to a plow. You remember that Jenny donkey, Miss Myers?
Yes,
you remember?
I do. I surely do. That donkey helped us to make boarding students come to the Pineywood School. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had anything to eat.
That's right. Well, and of course, the boys built frame dormitories, didn't they?
Frame dormitories, and some of them got burned later on.
And so new buildings had to be put up. Well, thank you, Georgie L. Myers. Thank you.